Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good night. It is Friday night. We are continuing with our series of top five albums of the 80s. We're covering years 1980 to 1989. We're at year 1982. I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Bill Schuster. How are you doing, Bill?
Armando, doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing well. Got my steep tea here that Bob brought in from the previous episode. I'm doing good, actually. Um, Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the previous two episodes, we are covering our top five albums of 1982. So, again, these are our choices. So, we've each chosen five albums plus two honorable mentions. So, again, I will hand the virtual mic over to Mr. Bill Schuster, and he will give us his number five of 1982.
All right. Thank you, Armando. 1982. All right. I'm 14 years old. Let's see.
Mhm.
Seems so long ago.
Formative years.
82 was kind of a big year for me musically because this is really, even though I grew up with musical parents and the music was always playing, there were records all over the households. And I didn't really get into the music myself until right around the time my parents were splitting up, which is 81, 82. So this was really kind of my own formative years here. So yeah, a lot of this stuff here in 83, 84 has really extra meaning for me. So
Mhm.
kind of takes me back to being a kid again. My first one, though, is an artist that I've already mentioned. He had one of my top picks, one of my number ones from the 70s. And Armando's already mentioned him in the 70s as well. He did probably his most critically acclaimed album in this year, which the lyrics were a bit more serious, musically a little more diverse, perhaps. It's this guy here. That's the back cover. It's Billy
Mhm.
Joel, and the album is The Nylon Curtain.
Uh-huh.
The hits on here, of course, were Pressure and Allentown. I mean, yeah, the lyrics of Allentown, of course, that's not exactly the stuff of pop songs.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's not.
talking about poverty-stricken miners and who
Yeah,
were abandoned by their unions and
yeah,
really by their country and their just yeah, it's a pretty serious lyrical subject.
it is.
We have also Goodnight Saigon on here, which
Hmm.
uh, is a favorite of many Vietnam War veterans. That was kind of a thing that was just coming to the fore at that time,
Yeah,
was this examination of the United States and their role in the Vietnam War there, and how the people who came back from that experience, how they processed that and what it was like there. And Billy Joel, I guess, kind of gave a voice with this song to a lot of people. And it was a little bit
yeah,
controversial at the time, but yeah,
yeah.
I think it holds up well. It's a touching song, no matter what your thoughts are on that particular conflict. Laura is the other song on side one. I remember as a 14-year-old, I didn't quite get the lyrics. Now it's one of my favorites lyrically. It's about this very complex interpersonal relationship. But as a 14-year-old, the thing that stood out to me was the fact that he threw an F bomb in there. Here I am, feel like a fucking fool. Yeah, and that as a 14-year-old, it was like, all right, yeah, I can sing along with this.
It
Uh-huh.
was rebellious at the time. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
actually, it's a brilliant song lyrically. If on a more adult level, if you've been around a bit more and had more, yeah, deeper, more adult relationships, you get a lot more out of this song than I did as a 14-year-old.
exactly.
Um, side two, they're nothing remotely a hit on side two, but all the songs are good. She's right on time, fun. Room of Our Own. Um, Surprises. Scandinavian skies is quite lovely. Where's the orchestra? I'm still not quite sure what he was exactly going for there, but I still rather like it.
Yeah.
And it's just really it's a bit different from what he had been doing up to that point. His previous album, studio album, was Glass Houses, which
Yeah.
was essentially following along with what he'd been doing on The Stranger and 52nd Street, evolving a little bit. But this was a bit of a left turn, and it worked out well for him critically, and it was commercially successful. Not near as much as his follow up to this, but yeah,
Yeah.
still, it's one of my favorites by him. Definitely top three, as those who might recall our Elton John Billy Joel episode from a few months ago
Yeah. Yeah.
may recall.
Yeah, no, it was so long ago. That was May. It
Wow, was that long ago? Wow,
was May or April. Yeah, yeah.
wow,
Um,
time's long.
yeah, no, time goes by when you're having fun. No, it's a good choice. It's a good choice. And um, Good Night Saigon. It's that one lyric I keep remembering. We'd all go down together. We swore we'd all go down together, like the repeat. And it has such emotion, just the way he delivers it. You know what I mean? And just like haunting, really, really haunting. All right.
Helicopter sound effects
Yeah,
add to it as well. Yeah.
yeah. It's unreal. That's a good choice. I've just swapped out my number five, one of my honorable mentions. I'm
All
doing
right.
this, I'm doing this on the fly. My number five is Queen with Hot Space. Okay, guys, look at me in the camera. Okay. Um, yes, this album has been much maligned by Queen, staunch Queen supporters and Queen fans. And I have stated in other shows, won't mention what they were, that this is not one of my favorite albums by Queen. This album is on the list for nostalgia reasons, possible, pretty much, only. This was the first album I received as a birthday gift after the greatest hits. So, but even as a 12-year-old at the time, I knew that the music on this album was not what Queen were known for, even though I was a new fan to the band. It is considered, one side is considered their R&B pop funk side. Songs like, Stay in Power, Dancer, Body Language, Back Chat, Action This Day, Side 2, Put Out the Fire, Life is Real, Las Palabras de Amor, Calling All Girls, Cool Cat, and the Saving Grace, Under Pressure. Um, is it Queen at their best? No. Does it have a bit of does it tug at my heartstrings a little bit? Yeah, it does. Because I remember having the original Electra cassette uh, for the longest time. And I took a lot of shit from a lot of people for listening to this album because it wasn't what people were expecting from Queen. So it is my number five.
That's, now I have Cool Cat stuck in my head. Thank you.
You're very
Which
welcome.
I don't mind. I like Cool Cat.
And there you go. There you go. Um,
Yeah, I'll never say Hot Space is one of my favorite Queen albums either, but yeah, I'm not a hater.
no, no.
It's still Queen. I
Yeah,
mean,
it is. It is. Some people would
get
say
those
it's the
four guys involved.
Yeah, and some people would say it's the Freddie Mercury solo album, which I would agree too. But it is Queen.
All right. I'm going to go for another 70s band who uh, I definitely mentioned a couple of times in the 70s because they are responsible for my all time favorite album. So obviously that was there. This is their final album with one Mr. Roger Hodgson, one of their co band leaders.
Hmm.
It is Supertramp with Famous Last Words.
Nice shrink
Uh,
wrap.
yeah, Yeah, I found this one a while back at a store. I used to just have it on cassette. I found this was Snipe. Yep, that's in great shape. I'm getting it. No
Cool.
regrets. I've always loved this album. It's Raining Again is the hit on the album.
Yeah.
Another Roger Hodgson, one of his, high pitched vocals with his happy, chirpy sing song. But it's a
Hmm.
blast. It's fun. There was also a lesser hit, Rick Davies song, which I also quite like, called "My Kind of Lady."
Yeah, it had
Uh,
the 1950s pastiche kind of feel to it. Doo-wop.
yeah,
Yeah.
and really overall, I think the Rick songs on here are weaker than Roger's songs.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean I don't like them, because I like every song on this album. But really, the only time that Rick really goes deep is Waiting So Long, which is the second to last track. And that
Okay.
track is quite intense. Because I've been waiting so long, I'm not feeling so strong. Just, you could tell that there were cracks in the foundations of the Rick Davies, Roger Hodgson collaborative relationship here as the two main forces in Supertramp. You could tell that they were splitting apart, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, this has C'est La Bonne, which is one of my favorite Supertramp tracks. That's another Roger track. Don't Leave Me Now, Crazy. I mean, Roger just really hits it out of the park on this.
Hmm.
He was ready for his solo career,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, after this, neither of them ever had quite the success again that they did together. They each
No.
had some. Yeah, Roger's first solo album and the following Supertramp album without Roger both had some minor chart success, some radio play, but after that, it was pretty well done deal.
Yeah.
And sadly, they still never reunited. So,
Yeah.
but if you think Supertramp was over after Breakfast in America, no, 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 no. Check this out. This album is well worth your time.
Hmm.
Yeah, I put it on par with the classics from the band that run from Crime of the Century up until, well, frankly, the follow up to this, Brother Where You Bound.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. And that the melody line on the end of Bonnie is like a,
Mhm.
oh my God. Like it to me when I hear that melody, that piece, it tugs on my heartstrings. I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of that.
And that's a Rick song. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
didn't mean to talk down about Rick songs
No,
either. I
no,
just,
no.
yeah, because, yeah, I like Bonnie quite a bit too.
No, I
It's,
know. No, I know. And when you hear there's a video on YouTube uh of Supertramp doing a concert. I think it's in Toronto at the C&E Grandstand, but they do a bit of a documentary before this. And I think he discusses in the video how he saw the cracks happening in the partnership around Crisis What Crisis. Like he saw it happening then, right? And before they went in to do this album, they discussed that this album was going to be their last album together. They knew that this was going to be it. So yeah, it's sad, but it is what it is, right?
glad
Uh,
we got what we got.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We must carry on, ladies and gentlemen. My number four is Joe Jackson with Night and Day,
Who?
and smart ass. Almost made me think I had the wrong album title. Don't try and scare me like that. Um, and I thank Bill for reintroducing me to Joe Jackson. Great album. Very. Hmm. This is Joe Jackson at his sophisticated best, out of 1980s. Um, very much a New York album. Um, with songs like, the big hit was Stepping Out, right? On the album, also TV Age, Real Men, another single from the album, Another World, which starts off the album, And the other single, Breaking Us in Two, right? I mean, the compositions on this album are just top notch in terms of arrangements and production. Um, the only album that could top this was Night and Day 2 from 2003. But I'm getting ahead of myself there. Um, Fantastic album. I think this is one of the albums he produced with Dave Kirschenbaum, right? Yeah, and some people would say this is Joe Jackson at his best. I disagree, but what do I know, right? Um, well, I don't know that well. I know quite a bit, but not that much. Um, so yeah, that's my number four, Joe Jackson with Night and Day.
I think I've heard of him. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not. I think you may have. Yeah, everyone's a comedian. Go on.
Actually, this next album cover I'm going to show you has a bit of comedy to it because even though this band was known for being very serious lyrically, a lot of times they like to cut up and joke around quite a bit too. They have their own sense of humor. Here's another shrink wrap for you with the original price tag on it. It's Rush with Signals, and the signals here with the dog at the hydrant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that logo. That it's barely legible, but it's just such a cool
Yeah.
1982 style logo.
Yeah.
And this would have cost you 650 American back in 1982.
That would have translated to 7.99 in Canada at the time. So yeah. Or no, actually, yeah. No, 5.95, depending where you went.
I'd be glad to pay that now.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, this is the album. Well, it's the album with their only top 40 hit in the States, New World Man, which is kind of funny looking back on it because when people think of Rush, I'm going to say the vast majority don't think of New World Man anywhere near the top of the songs that come to mind.
Yeah.
It's a great song, but it's just so weird that that is their
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah. Especially with Subdivisions, the track, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Subdivisions is absolutely the song that everybody knows off this. It's the one that's survived on the radio all these
The
years. And
longest. Yeah.
it's one of those songs that brought a lot of fans into the band. Uh, those lyrics, I know that's one of the things that drew me to the band. That's one of the songs and one of Neil's lyrics, that whole conform or be cast out, just the whole theme there.
Yeah.
This was their, it was kind of a rallying cry for a lot of misfits, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Gathered together the whole island of misfit toys after Subdivisions came out and
Fucking right.
created
It's
a lot
true.
of lifelong Rush fans. There are other great songs on here. The Analog Kid is, of course, a classic Rush song. I can hear you move me
Yeah.
with your buildings and yeah, okay. Now I'm gonna have that one stuck in my head. That got Cool Cat out of there for a minute anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chemistry, I dig quite a bit.
Yeah.
Digital Man got a bit of that reggae-ish bit throwing in there. They like to throw in around that time a bit more of their, hey, what are the police doing right now? Let's check that out.
Exactly.
Let's see what we can do with that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's true.
Losing It is brilliant. Of course, Ben Mink is on there, who would go on to collaborate more with Getty in the future, as well as with Hart, among
Yeah.
others.
Yeah. And
Um,
he was in the band FM. They don't
yeah,
mention any other episode. Yeah.
one of the rare non-members to perform on a Rush album, and the song, of course, is absolutely crushing. And as we age, it definitely that lyric strikes home much more than it did in younger days.
Yeah.
Losing what we were once able to do, losing the skills we had, just yeah. It's the natural process of aging, but we don't have to like it and accept it, damn it.
No, exactly. Exactly. No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, this it's I think this was the place where a lot of Rush fans said, I'm out. It was the last Terry Brown produced album.
Yeah.
Some people would have stopped at moving pictures and they thought this was a step too far. I vastly disagree with all those arguments,
Yeah.
obviously, because spoiler alert, folks, not the last time you're going to hear from Rush in these countdowns.
There you go. No, it's true. It's true. My number three is, I'm surprised it's this high on the list. Um, Fleetwood Mac with Mirage. Um, 12 tracks. I mean, this followed their 4 million seller experimental double album of Tusk. Uh, this album, Stevie Nicks, from what I gathered, she had a big hit with Belladonna. She, I guess, reluctantly went back to the band to do this album. Um, this shows the band in a more of a pop oriented kind of a straightforward pop flavor with songs like Love in Store from Christy McVie, um, Empire State, which from Lindsey Buckingham, which, that's all right. The track Gypsy, which is my favorite track from the album, um, from um, Stevie Nicks. Other songs too, like Oh Diane, which, you know, second to last track, almost a more of like a, again, more pop pastiche kind of a track from Lindsey Buckingham. I like it, but there is, I don't know, compared to what they came up with before. And also the lead off single Hold Me, which is one of the better tracks, duet vocal between Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie. I always thought that they loved each other musically. I always thought that they loved each other, they respected one another, they held each other in such high esteem that they, when they worked together on songs, they elevated each other to a level that he and Stevie could never do. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There was always a more adversarial kind of a relationship with between Stevie and Lindsey Buckingham. Um, there's one song called which was an outtake, which is featured on the Chain box set from Fleetwood Mac called Teen Beat, which is just features heavy drums and guitar from Lindsey Buckingham. That should have been featured on the album for more of an experimental kind of a feel to it. Um, I don't know why it's so high on the list, but I mean, you can good pop music is good pop music, and Hold Me elevates this album to that level. So that is number three for me.
It, yeah, I pretty well agree with what you said about it. I bought this album when it came out and I liked it. I played it at the time, but I definitely wouldn't rank it among my favorite Fleetwood Mac albums. It did kind of seem like a reaction to Tusk, like they were trying to rein it in a little and
Yeah,
go a little more deliberately commercial. Though, yeah, the singles are all, I like them all quite a bit. And Gypsy in particular, I agree. That's my favorite song on the album, also. I think it's one of Stevie's best songs ever.
yeah, that and
Uh,
Sarah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it seemed kind of a holding pattern almost. Like, all right, we took a lot of crap for Tusk. Let's just take the predictable safe route.
And
Lindsay
that,
was still doing some weird stuff on the album, but maybe not quite Tusk level weird.
yeah, and let's keep Warner Brothers happy. You know, they sign our paychecks, kind of a thing, right? And you know what I mean. So we got to keep Warner Brothers and Mo Austin happy, kind of a thing, right? So, but there you go. Yeah.
All right. Number two. This number two is a debut album, but so far I've been on a theme here. All artists that were very active in the 70s, moving into the 80s. Well,
Oh,
this is a
okay.
debut album, but it features artists who were active in various 70s bands.
Okay.
It's a super group, and
Ah, I
it was
think I
a
know where you're
huge
going.
seller.
I knew.
Asia, Heat of the Moment, Only Time Will Tell, Soul Survivor. Those were the hits. This thing still holds up. I frankly, you got Steve Howe, Carl Palmer, John Wetton, and Jeff Downs. Obviously, these guys are all famous for the various largely progressive rock
Yeah.
bands.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
John Wetton was in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in, King Crimson. He was in Uriah Heep. He was in UK. He was in Roxy Music. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I would put this album on par with virtually, well, just about anything these guys were previously involved in. It's a whole different kind of music,
Yeah.
but to me, this is every bit as important to me as anything Yes did or anything John did with Crimson or Jeff did with the Buggles or Yes.
Video did
Yeah,
kill the
radio
radio
will
star.
make
I
it
mean,
more. I mean, this is a brilliant modern rock circa 1982 album.
yeah.
It sounds wonderful. I think Mike Stone did a wonderful job on the sound of this album.
Yeah.
Uh, Produced and engineered by Mike Stone. And frankly, John Wetton and Jeff Downs, they wrote well together, always.
Yeah.
These guys knew how to construct good, hooky pop rock songs.
Yeah,
If
they did.
you're coming here looking for Carnival number 9 or Starless and Bible Black or something like that, well, you're in the wrong place. That's not what these guys are doing at this point, and they didn't need to. They already did that.
Yeah.
This is them showing all these youngsters how to do it, and they succeeded massively. This thing was huge,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, it's that Roger Dean cover, progressive or not. That's awesome, and such a great logo too.
It's a classic album cover. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, this one hung on my wall
Oh yeah.
for long periods of time as well. But yeah, they take a lot of crap. I mean, this was in the Steve Carroll movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, and it was kind of a punchline. Yeah, well, screw those people making it a punchline. This album rules.
Yeah.
No
No,
apologies.
it's true. It's true. My favorite track on the album was Only Time Will Tell.
Yeah, that used to
Uh,
get played at the skating rink when I was
yeah.
14.
Which, if I remember correctly, it starts off with Heat of the Moment and then Only Time Will Tell on side one.
Mhm.
And Here Comes That Feeling ended off that album on side two.
Yep.
Little side note, guys. My brother, Tony, who I never mentioned on this channel, but bear with me, was a big fan of this album. And he had the balls, yes, I'll dare say it, the balls to tell me that the debut album from Asia was better than anything that Queen ever released in the 70s. And
All right,
I
I love
said,
this album. Yeah.
and I said to him, that is like comparing Liberace to Led Zeppelin. It's just not so. Moving on. I'm right. You're wrong, Tony. We're done. Um, that's it. That's it. Case closed. Game set match. I win. Anyways, no, it's a good choice. It's a good choice. That album was all over FM rock radio in Canada and in the US. It was. And Heat of the Moment and Only Time Will Tell all over the radio like crazy. So, but is it better than anything Queen ever did in the 70s? Hell no. But
Yeah, even I wouldn't go that far, no matter how much I love this album.
I digress. I digress. My number two is Rush with Signals. This was going to be my number one, but I changed it. I did a lot of soul searching and I changed it. Fantastic album, different from what they were doing with moving pictures. It's almost like this album that kind of like turned a page and went into a different area of music, more keyboard oriented with the sequencing and the Moog synths and Taurus pedals and that stuff. The theme of this album for me is about there are two themes: alienation and I don't know how to put this in one word, but questioning what's around you in terms of questioning what is being fed to you by the media, by your government, by whatever authority is telling you things. Songs like Subdivision, which was a massive hit here in Canada, and the video is Toronto. That is Toronto being featured in the video. That I mean, it is classic 80s Toronto, Canada. Okay. And that math book that you see in the video that the father throws at the kid while he's watching TV, I had that math book in grade 10. So there you go. Um, it's a classic. Okay. Songs like New World Man, The Analog Kid, Chemistry, Digital Man, The Weapon, which is part of Fear, a chapter of, I think it's chapter 2 of Fear, Losing It, the questioning about aging and eventually realizing and resigning ourselves to the fact that we are all human and we all have a limited time on this planet. Countdown, fantastic, fantastic album. So yeah, that's my number two.
We're only immortal for a limited time. You got another whole other Neil Peart lyric in my head with that. That's
Sorry,
another year.
sorry about that. Okay.
All right. That is a good choice, obviously.
Well, there's a reason why you and I work well together. So
Well,
you just
here's another one we have some agreement on. Well, I'm gonna bet you probably know what my number one is. You've already
surprise.
mentioned it.
Really? It's Hot Space.
It is, yeah. All right. Well, I guess my body language didn't give it away then, huh?
Oh my God. Okay, go on.
All right. No, no, no. It's Joe Jackson, night and day. Of course it
There you
is.
go. Okay, yeah, I knew
How,
it.
how could it not be? This guy's my favorite artist. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
and this it's not my favorite Joe Jackson album, but I love this album. This is the first one that got me into him.
yeah.
We got the classic fold out
Oh yeah. I mean,
with the New York skyline in the background and Joe at the piano here with the simple. And there's the real dorky Joe inside
yeah.
and the wonderful Graham maybe on bass. And where's Sue? Where's Sue? Where'd you go, Sue? Oh, there she is. There's Sue Hajopoulos, who would often appear in Joe's career on mini albums for
There you go.
off and on. Um, yeah, this has, of course, as Armando said, his biggest hit, "Stepping Out," which is the song that, for me, like so many other Joe Jackson fans, that's the song that drew me in. And "Breaking Us Into" was the clincher when that rolled out. So, okay, I got to get this album. Of course, "Breaking Us Into" has been accused of being overly similar to a certain Badfinger hit. So I won't mention any titles, but I could hear it after it was pointed out to me, but I don't care.
Okay.
It's still a cool song. Um, yeah, side one took me a while to get when this came out. I was always irritated because this wasn't like a single version. The songs all blended into each other.
That's right. They're right. They
And so,
sequenced.
Stepping Out was the last song on side one.
Mhm.
The end of the song Target blended right into Stepping Out, which really screwed me up because I wanted to hear, the single version at that point in time, which now I love it the way it is, but it was always irritating back
Yeah.
then when those albums did that.
Hmm.
When I heard the song on the radio and then I got it and it's, what's this crap? Why did they do this?
Hmm.
But uh side two though, that's always kind of been my favorite side overall. Cancer, like many other people, cancer runs in the family here, there, and everywhere. It's something we all deal with.
Yeah.
It's a scourge that those who know me know I have a certain amount of dark humor, and in our family we deal with tragic things by mocking it, by laughing at it, by taking away its sting. And Joe does a great job of that very thing with this song. It's just this bouncy melody. Do 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 da, da, da. Everything gives you cancer. There's no cure. There's no answer. It's
I know.
brilliant. It's just this dark humor. He's just so joyful about it almost.
Yeah.
No caffeine, no protein, no booze or nicotine. Remember, everything gives you cancer. So, yeah, if you ever get down in the dumps, if you ever find out you have some lumps or something, you might need to get a biopsy. Well, just go give a listen to Cancer by Joe Jackson, and it might cheer you up.
Jesus.
It's
Okay.
and also it has, yeah, Real Men. Real Men may or may not be my favorite song on the album. It's a great song. Apparently, it was the hit in Australia, which still I find amusing to this day. Yeah, Real Men has uh, considering the lyrics of that song, I'm surprised it was a single anywhere. Apparently, it was a single here in the States too, but I don't remember ever hearing it on the radio. I don't think it did near as well.
Yeah.
But, and a slow song, that's another one of those that has stayed in the concerts forever. It's a Joe Jackson favorite.
Mhm.
But really, the whole idea here was that it was kind of a tribute to New York City and Cole Porter in particular. It was
That's right.
inspired by
That's right.
Cole Porter's songwriting. And Joe would go on to grow continually from here. He's never stopped. He's always trying new things, and that's the reason that he is my favorite artist. But
Yeah.
for many people, this is where it starts, where it ends. This is the only thing they might know. But yeah, again, my God, there's so much more to explore with this guy's catalog. He's
Definitely.
all over the map, and
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. It's a good one. My number one is Bruce Springsteen with Nebraska.
surprised me on that one.
Oh, there you go. I'm full of surprises. You know,
Yes.
the follow-up release to The River from 1980. This is just Springsteen on his own, uh, with acoustic, electric guitar, various instruments, recorded on a four-track recorder. The original idea was he recorded these demos and he was going to have the E Street Band come in and uh, re-record them properly. But that those sessions went on to be known as the Nebraska Electric Sessions. But when he was listening to these in the studio, he and I guess it's John Landau at the time decided to release these as a Bruce Springsteen solo album. And 10 tracks, very haunting. The first track, the title track, is about a serial killer who basically decides to go travel through the US with a shotgun and just with his girlfriend, underage girlfriend at the time, and just starts going on a murdering spree. And he basically is caught and he's sent to the electric chair. And when the judge asks him, like, why did you do this? He says, because I wanted to. Done. No, oh, I had a bad life. No, I just wanted to kill people. And I've done it. Do what you want with me. Well, they fried him. You know what I mean? Like they sent him to the electric chair. They turned him into brisket. Okay, I'm sorry, but it is what it is. And it's just very haunting though. Atlantic City, which is one of the singles from the album. I've always loved that track. And the lyric that says everything dies, maybe that's a fact, and maybe everything that dies someday it comes back. It's like, my God, you know, very haunting, just a very haunting track. Other songs, basically the entire album is just uh one man's confession on an acoustic guitar. Mansion on the Hill, Johnny 99, Highway Patrolman, uh, State Trooper, Used Cars, Open All Night, My Father's House. Like, come on. Like, all these tracks are amazing. Um, the last track, Reason to Believe. So it almost gives you a little bit of, even from the title of the track, it almost gives you a bit of hope. These songs are very down. They're very sort of morose. You know what I mean? Like they bring you down to a level like, okay, like, my life isn't as good as I thought it was. But the melodic and the memorable, and it works. Every song works. And it proves that you don't have to have a huge backing band to get your point across musically. You can have just an acoustic guitar or whatever instrument or harmonica, whatever instrument you want to use to get your point across. And he does so brilliantly on this album. So that's my number one.
Nice. Yep, that was a surprise pick there. But was it Charlie Starkweather? Wasn't that the name of the serial killer?
Yeah, that's right.
I just actually, funny enough, had just read about Tim and his girlfriend here a couple days ago. And they talked about apparently the girlfriend served, I believe, 17 years before she was released, and then she went out and she got married, and I guess she had tried to claim that she was being victimized by him, that she was forced to go along with it all, but apparently she wasn't able to be convincing enough. So,
Ah,
but yeah, that's quite a story. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Um, I'm going to go back to Canada for my first honorable mention.
Okay, cool.
We've both mentioned this band once before in the 70s with two different albums. This is pretty much a different lineup entirely, except for the main man, Bill Henderson. Chilliwack with Opus 10. They become a
Oh,
trio here with Brian McLeod and Ab Bryant. Brian McLeod is an especially important addition at this point.
yeah,
As a writer, as a musician, he plays all kinds of instruments on this.
yeah,
He is at least as important as Bill Henderson himself on this album.
I would agree.
This album is kind of all over the map, but then their career is kind of all over the map. They sound different ways at different times. This it's got pop, it's got hard rock, it's got almost a metalish song even. It closes with a lovely acoustic haunting ballad called Midnight, which is just really pretty. The hit here in the States was What You Gonna Do.
Here
It
too.
wasn't really as big a hit as My Girl from the previous album.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this it's just really just a kind of an all over the map, strong, cool, fun, eclectic pop rock album,
Hmm.
1982, and that's such a cool cover with the guys all looking very official with their Opus 10 title there, trying to look as though they're getting ready to go join the orchestra.
Yeah. 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 No, what you gonna do when I'm gone was a hit here too. Again, that also made its way to many a KTEL compilation in the early 80s, before KTEL really shut down for good. Um, it's a good one. My first honorable mention is Alan Parsons Project with Eye in the Sky. Um, Again, it's hit and miss. I mean, I like Cirrus, the instrumental, which which sports team was it that used it as their
Chicago Bulls as their
Chicago
entrance
Bulls
music.
as their
Yeah.
entrance music? Okay. And that segues into the title track. But it's again hit and miss with the albums for Arista. I'm sorry. I mean, um, and then they would release, I think it is Ammonia Avenue after this 2 years later with Don't Answer Me, which is one of my favorite tracks. But that's my first honorable mention.
Yeah. Again, I agree about Alan Parsons Project. There's a lot to love on each album, and then there's a lot that's like, well, this is just okay.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, they're definitely well served by compilations. I mean, there are
Yeah,
good album tracks buried that won't make the compilations, but yeah, overall, I tend to agree with your assessment there.
yeah,
All right, my second honorable mention. They were mentioned by me in the '70s, not as much as I had originally thought I would, but
yeah.
yeah, that's all right. I'll make up for it here. This is the final album of five from Ambrosia. It's Rhode Island with this wonderful Ralph Steadman cover. I don't know if I need to check out this goofy. For
Oh
those of you
yeah.
who know who Ralph Steadman is, you recognize that art style.
Hmm. Hmm.
And of course, continues on the back with there's the road going around the world, and here's the guy up close or in
Yeah.
a distance, excuse me. But yeah, this didn't really have any hits. It was kind of lost in the shuffle in 1982. It came 2 years after 180, which had a couple of monster hits on it. You're the Only Woman and Biggest Part of Me. This has a song called Feeling Alive Again, which frankly should have been released as a single and pushed in the vein of those previous songs. I think it was a huge whiff by the whoever was responsible for this, the record company, that they did not release and push that song.
Okay.
Maybe it had been too long, but that's not what the whole album is about, though. Ambrosia is kind of, for those who know them, kind of famous for having a progressive or art rock period with their first couple albums, and then kind of moving into a poppier, more R&B type vibe
Yeah.
for their next two.
Yeah.
This is a bit of both and then some.
Okay.
Rhode Island is kind of a consolidation of their entire career, but brought up to date for 1982. It has little bits of art rock. It has pop and R&B and hard rock. It has a song called "Kid No More," which is a weird, almost uh, punky new wave-ish kind of song.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's quite a good album. It might even be my favorite Ambrosia album.
Cool.
Um, yeah, I would highly recommend it if you're looking for something a little bit different.
Okay. No, that's a good choice. I've seen that album before. Um, yeah, no, it's a good one. It's a good choice.
Cover stands out.
That it does. That it does. My last honorable mention is Iron Maiden with Number of the Beast. Now, the reason why it's an honorable mention, guys, it's Iron Maiden is new to me, and like I just started buying the albums. Like I went out one day and I bought like five Iron Maiden albums, like from the '80s, and this was one of the five I bought. And I loaded up the CD player one day and I listened to all of them back to back, and I was a different person by the end of the end of the listening session. Uh, Fantastic album cover featuring Eddie and the devil, and yep, and you know, heavy is on Get Out, but this was also, you know, people say that Iron Maiden in the late '90s started to go into more of a progressive metal kind of a field. I would counter that with saying that they were doing this even with this album, because certain like songs like okay like certain songs like 22 Acacia Avenue, um goes into different sections, different changes in terms of time signature and stuff. So I would say that they were doing this at this point slowly, right? They were like slowly getting into it. But I mean, Run to the Hills, like, come on. I mean, that's a classic, right? And Hallowed Be Thy Name, and the title track, I mean, it's fucking Iron Maiden, guys. I mean, it's good. It's good. I need to have more time with it, you know, which is why for me it's an honorable mention. Not that it's a bad album, but I haven't had as much time with it as say some of you have. So and again, Steve Harris is playing on bass. Like, come on. Like, just he's going nuts on the bass, with it multiple fingers going out once. You know what I mean? Like tapping. I call it tapping on the way he plays the bass. Because he just doesn't pluck the bass strings. He taps you know, each string with each finger, right? So it's like very interesting, but very aggressive and very powerful. So, yeah, that's my last honorable mention.
Nice. I'm glad you picked that. That was one of those I thought would have made my list, but
Yeah.
it, for whatever reason, I think I kind of went more towards things that were important to me at that time. And at that time, I wasn't into Maiden. It wasn't until a couple years later that I started getting into Maiden. So,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
yeah. But it doesn't, obviously, I mean, if I could turn right around and know exactly where this is, it's not that I'm not a Maiden fan, folks. That's for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. No, and again, I mean, um, you know, albums hit you at different times in your life, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, for me, becoming a fan at the age of 51, 52. I mean, better late than never. You know what I mean? So, um, it's not that it's a bad album. Again, it's just I haven't had that much time with it as much as I have had with these other albums on the list. So, um,
That's an important point, I think, for kind of this whole series, too, is
yeah,
that we're not experts, folks. If you haven't figured that out by now, I mean, I'll just put it
no,
right out there.
no, we're
But
not.
the thing is, we're all in the process of this constant musical discovery. Like Armando said, he just recently got, in recent years, just got into Iron Maiden after all these years.
Yeah,
We've all got artists like that that we may have been familiar with that we just haven't taken the dive yet. I've got a million on my list that you would think, based on looking at the album covers behind me or what we've talked about, that I would know that I'm virtually clueless about, that they've just been on the back burner waiting for me to dig in.
that's
So
exactly it. That's exactly
that's
it.
one of the reasons we like to hear from people too, and hear other people's choices to give us more things to, all right, maybe I really need to get around to checking this
Yeah.
out.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, we don't know everything. I mean, and we're not experts by any stretch of the imagination. You know what I mean? So, that again, that's what Bill said. That's why we want to get people engaged and get them, giving us your list, and we learn from you. Maybe you see an album here that you didn't hear about before. You want to check it out, you check it out. That's what YouTube is great for. You know what I mean? So there you go, guys. Our top five albums of 1982, with two honorable mentions. Please, down there in the list in the list below, in the comments below, please give us your top five albums. Could be top five, top 10, top 20, top two, top three, plus an honorable mention. And again, like I've said before, there are no right or wrong answers, just opinions. Okay. No one is going to judge you for, putting a pop album on your list because that's what you listen to. Right. There's no judgments.
Opera or country or rap or whatever.
There you go. There you go. If you want to put a Grandmaster Flash album, Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5, The Message. Hello.
It's like a jungle sometimes. Makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
There you go. I had an impact. Or even White Lions, right? The
Yes.
Chuck White Lions. By the
White
way,
Lions is badass, but Yeah.
By the way, Duran Duran did a blistering version of that on their Thank You album from 1994, but or 95, I should say. But anyways, I digress. So listen, guys, please.
We tend to do.
Yeah, we tend to go on, don't we? But listen, guys, again, put your list down below. Let us know what you think. And we thank you for watching, and we thank you for your support and for your comments on the 70s um, episodes. We had fun doing it, like we're having fun doing this. So for Mr. Bill Schuster, I am Armando Venditti, bidding you all a good night for now, and we will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.